Hello, and welcome back to the North Face of Wine. In today's episode, I introduce really the star of this channel, the vines themselves. And then we move on as we have prune and we have déblotage. Now we are moving to laying her down. We lay her down on the wire. Again, a very manual work that takes quite a lot of time. And essentially, afterward, we will be talking about the maintenance of topsoil, the privilege, really, of living here in this village of Chignan, where every single winemaker seems to have his own idea on the maintenance of topsoil, the maintenance of his terroir. The vines themselves are what we call Jacquère and Bergeron. They're both white grapes. Jacquère is a dry white wine, light, goes very well with crustacés, oysters, and such. It's a beautiful wine, fairly low in alcohol, which is what people are actually looking for now. And I also have some Bergeron. And Bergeron is also called Roussanne. Roussanne is a bit of an older vine, but the Bergeron, we have Chignan Bergeron. We are in the village of Chignan. That is Chignan Bergeron, and we have our own appellation contrôlée, or so-called AOC. We have our own AOC, I should say. Interesting. And so, later on, in the spring, when the leaves come out, I will show you the difference between the two, between Jacquère and Bergeron. Bergeron is a fruitier wine. It gets closer now to a Chablis. In fact, in the 1864, when the Pays de Savoie was reattached to France, the ceremony, which I think was attended by the president, they served Chignan Bergeron at the time. It is quite an interesting vine. There is a lot now in this village of Chignan Bergeron because it has sold, it has been very successful. I do not think, I don't know quite yet what I'm going to do, but I'm leaning heavily towards doing a cuvée, which will bring these two together. We will talk further at length because I want you to be part of the, not only of the parcel of the work that is going to be done here, but also behind the doors in the cellar. You will see the whole process. We started in January with the pruning in the bitter cold, and we will go all the way through and choosing the yeast and various different things for the cellar. I think I'm going to make a cuvée. I'm leaning very heavily towards that so that the wine will be very similar from one year to the other. And we can, I am working now the qualities of the wine that I want with the winemaker himself. I will introduce you to him at the proper time. So, after the pruning and the déblotage, as we saw last week, here comes the process of attacher, to attach the sarment, this stem here that is left from the pruning. The pruning that is at the beginning of the year, and then the déblotage, as we saw last week. We have to lay the vine down on the wire. The vine doesn't have strength. It grows obviously by itself, but it's gonna go down on the ground. In the wild, the vines used to use the trees to go up towards the sun. So the wires are really the mimicking of the trees in the wild. So we lay it down so it's not a total mess. As we work afterward, we'll have many different processes to do. So we twist it around, and I have this twine here in my pocket. I have a roll of twine and this little tool. Construction people, when they do all the wiring in the buildings, use the same thing to twine the rebars. It's basically the same thing. So we put it here. Very simple process. And the twine will twist like this. And then I cut it off. So here it is now, laid down. Like I mentioned, Vineyard is really all about a romantic affair. And I want to bring you back to previous episodes, which you should go and watch. But here's the Courson. The Courson we talked about quite at length. So the Courson is here. It will grow some, but really direct the flow of sap for possible next year or the year after. If I were to cut this is already full of water. If I were to cut this, it would be very, very wet. And nature is in full bloom at this moment. All of a sudden, within a week, there's a lot of activity in the vineyards. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Winter is nearly behind us. There's a lot of fear. I have to say that the fear I have of a late frost is very real. The difference between a city person and a countryman is the fact that here in the country, when we grow something, we are totally dependent on the weather. This is a feeling we do not have. I spent 40 years in New York City. I never cared about the weather. I never even cared if it snowed, even though it made the news. But this is a real anxiety. A late frost. Here we are in beginning of March, nearly in t-shirt, and it is a true exciting moment, exciting in a bad way, moment of the year. But we're going to talk now about the maintenance of topsoil. And the privilege, I really feel it is so, the privilege in this village is that all winemakers seem to have their own ideas on how to keep the topsoil. For example, here we have this little blue flower called Veronique. And Veronique makes me think of to all the girls I've loved before. It is, it's just, these are sweet memories. This Veronique seems to be tied to the type of fertilizer this particular winemaker is using. It may be a chemical fertilizer, a natural fertilizer, whatever it is, it makes for this very appealing to the eye vineyard. I don't know how long this is going to last, but it ends precisely, and this is precisely at the edge of his vines. This parcel here that is not big at all, just a few rows, is full of Veronique, but right next door there isn't any. So I had to investigate. I actually had a lot of people say, well, we don't know. But apparently, what makes the most sense is what type of fertilizer they need. I want to point out I don't have much of a problem. I don't have a judgment whether people use fertilizer or not. I'm not. But if people feel it is best for them, it is their opinion, and that has to be valued as well. They have their own purpose for doing it. But certainly, this Veronique makes for a very beautiful vineyard at this moment of the year. Just a few feet away, here's a winemaker that has a totally different idea on how to do things. That's the beauty in this village, where here he wants to plow, or he plows the entire vineyard in the middle and under the vine. Some guys will plow only under the vines and leave the middle alone. I have to say right now that this is not what we're going to do. This is, in my view, a very violent process. But then again, this is at the very bottom. This is flat land. It is not my parcel. My parcel is full of rocks. This has a lot of soil in it, so he may very well be right. But the point here is against this spirit of independence, the spirit of I'm going to do things the way I like to do, which is very, very different from other major French wine regions. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you next week, where we, we will present more examples of different ideas from different winemakers, the ideas of keeping the topsoil, keeping the terroir. It is truly, truly a privilege to have such diversity, as in other regions, very well-known regions of France, with their wines, they keep very much to the same type of maintenance. But here, I find it so wonderful to have all of these various different methods, these various different ideas, and of course, I will have my own ideas. And please make comments. What would you do? I'm going to present to you so many different ways. It's truly unique. And feel free to express what you would do as well. And don't forget, in vines we trust.